All right, let's take you to the Western Cape now, where Operation Tudula is launching a branch in Cape Town today. The controversial group has been expanding its footprint across South Africa. It's been targeting areas with a high migrant population, saying they want South Africans to be prioritized by the government, especially when it comes to things like employment. For more on the story, Ati Mtongana joins us live from Cape Town. And Ati, already some movement around this movement. Get us a sense of what exactly they're hoping will come out of their launch today.
Well, I do have Zandile Dabula from the Operation Tudula organization. She's going to talk about what they're intending to do, particularly here in the Western Cape, given this province's dynamics. But I want to give you a picture of what is currently taking place as they embark on their first march to the police station here in the Cape Town Central Business District. I'm going to briefly move out of shot and ask my colleague to show you the number of people that are marching here in Cape Town as part of the first march for the Operation Tudula, which has officially launched in Cape Town. There's roughly about 200, just between 200 to 300 people that are here. But I do have Zandile Dabula, who's going to perhaps bring us to terms with what they are hoping to achieve here in the Western Cape. Zandile, thank you so much for your time. What are you aiming to achieve here in the Western Cape?
So here in the Western Cape, it's troubled by drugs and too much illegal immigrants that are occupying the buildings. Most of the hotels here are owned by foreign nationals, which cannot be right. You know, yesterday when I booked a place thinking it was owned by South African, little did I know when we got to the hotel, it was owned by a Nigerian guy. We had to cancel the reservation because we can't just disappoint our organization. So we're here in Western Cape today. We're closing all corners of South Africa because something needs to happen. Our government needs to hear us. There are people that are eating drugs here down the road, and they have turned into hobos because there's nothing for them. There's no jobs. There's basically nothing. So Western Cape, they must also be shaken now.
Tell us about the operations that you're going to conduct here in the Western Cape. How are you going to go about? Which communities are you targeting? And what exactly will you be doing in those operations?
Okay, so the operations that will be happening today is we have just been granted to submit a memorandum to a police station and to the Home Affairs as well, because most of the locations that are affected is basically your Kayelisha, your Kukuletus. Actually, the whole townships here in the Western Cape are affected because the unemployment rate is very high, and yet the foreign nationals are working, and it cannot be right. So those operations will happen during the course of the week. After this launch, Western Cape will be launching the branches in those locations where they will go to the companies that are hiring foreign nationals and go and try and remove them.
Foreign nationals or those who do not have legal papers to be here?
You know, now we're targeting non-South Africans because even the law says there's a limit of South Africans, of non-South Africans that needs to be employed. If it's not a scarce skill, then they don't need to work at that specific place. Being in a restaurant and you know, it's not a scarce skill. Anyone can do that. So we don't need foreign nationals to be working in the restaurants because it's not a scarce skill. So that's what we're saying, that if it's not a scarce skill, then they need to move.
Lastly, before I let you go, Zandi, what do you say to some of the reports and members of the public that report and suggest that this operation is xenophobic? I mean, I can tell you that yesterday already, just speaking to some of the foreign nationals here in Cape Town, they were worried and they were feared for their lives. What do you say to members of the public that feel scared about Operation Tudula, and perhaps maybe they don't understand what your motive is, and perhaps also alluding to saying and suggesting that it might be xenophobic?
So Operation Tudula is not xenophobic at all. It cannot be right that when you're telling your government to implement the laws that are there. Remember, these laws are there. You cannot come into someone's country without documents and expect everything to be right. Let it be business as usual. No, what we are saying is we are pushing our own government here to start implementing these laws because these laws are there. So we're not fighting them. We are not targeting anyone here. We are not xenophobic at all, but we are saying that our government needs to start implementing these laws.
All right, Zandile Dabula, thank you so much for your time. Not xenophobic, that's what Zandile Dabula is telling us, because a lot of the other foreign nationals that are living in Cape Town had already expressed fears about the operations that will be taken by this particular organization. But Zandile Dabula coming out to dispute any suggestions that they are xenophobic. They're saying, in essence, that they want to remove the number of foreign nationals employed in some of the industries here in the Western Cape, so that they can hire more South Africans. That's the message that this organization is sending out. As I close out, Ayanda, I want my colleague to just pan and show you again the number of members of Operation Dudula that are out here in Cape Town on their first operation launch as they march to the local police station here at the Cape Town Central Business District.
Tim Tongana, live to us there from Cape Town with live visuals of some members who say they are, or some people who say they are members of the Operation Dudula movement, launching their presence in the Western Cape for the first time today. Marching there, as Ati tells us, to the Cape Town police station, which is located at the economic hub, if you like, of the Western Cape, certainly of Cape Town, to be more specific. But the contention around this group obviously continues. The president also expressing some concerns about the ways through which the group has done its work, and we've seen in the past how members of Operation Dudula have clashed with police around various issues and the ways through which members of this group have handled those matters. We'll continue watching the story as it continues to develop.